Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych.Club from the Tom Numbers Show, top of your game and news with Tom Numbers. And I've got Sheila home with me. Me and Sheila met, a year and a half ago now, didn't we? Up in Post Falls at the tour, and but you were the lady about town on all things Eclipse. So I wanted to get you on the show because I've spoken to Juan about it and some others, and I've talked about it. So welcome to the show, Sheila. It's great to have you on.
It's good to be with you. And yes, it came out of me in 22 back when we met that nobody was looking at 2023. They were only looking at 2017 and 2024, big X, America being targeted, horrible news, horrible situation, bad situation. And that's not true. I said, God's not targeting America. That's not what's happening. There's a third eclipse, and I didn't know anything about eclipses, and it all came out of my mouth. I think you witnessed this whole thing, and they were still going. And they're the same guys. They're still only using 2017 and 2024, and that's not the whole message. So I'm honored to be with you to clear this up, because I even have a little video of if I can get it to function, to give the Hebrew, which just came out 2 weeks ago. So I'll give you all the facts. And then it confirms what I said in 22, and I don't know Hebrew either, and I don't know eclipses, and I'm not a scientist, and but I have all the information. And what I said back in 2022, it's not a targeting of America. We all have a chance globally. What we're doing right now is so powerful as a people. It is just so amazing to witness it.
Fantastic. Well, take us into, because it's only in the last couple of weeks that I really consciously realized that we had an eclipse happening in 2024. And then I very quickly realized, yeah, there's 2017. You've mentioned there's obviously 23 as well. So we've got total eclipses in 2017 and 2024. But then what's the descriptive name of the eclipse that happened in 23? It's not the same, is it?
The 2017, 23, and 24 is all I'm gonna pull it up here so you can see the design of it.
2023. What's it called in 2023? The one that happened. It's not.
2023 went from Salem, Oregon.
Yeah.
And
but is there a name of the type of eclipse? Because 2024 and 2017 are total eclipses, as far as I understand. What's the 2017?
All three.
Are they
three?
They're
huge.
They're all total. Okay, they're all total
2017. I put up the map now. Can you see it?
I can see it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, 2017 started in Salem, Oregon, and it went across the nation and went out to sea of South Carolina. It went through 8 different states, but the direct path only had 7 cities named Salem. And those 7 cities named Salem, I'm going to give you the definition of all of that. And what they were focusing on, they were not focusing on 2023. What they were focusing on was 2017, 2024, Big X, right, Missouri, Illinois. That is not targeting America. And it just came out.
Your audio, Sheila, your audio's got a little crackly since you brought up when we started. You were fine. Now you're okay.
Okay, so what happened in 2023 is started in Salem again.
Okay.
It's one down through and out in the Gulf, Texas. Now this one in 2024 is starting below in the Gulf, coming up through Texas, swinging through 13 states up to Maine, and it's going to go in the direct path through 6 cities called Nineveh. And that's the message. But what you see, this slanted A, the reason why I want to show the picture, because some people can hear it when I'm saying it, and some people have to see it to go, wow, I get it, because they need to see it. Some people learn better that way. So if you look down in the right,
yeah, it's nice to see it.
If you look down in the right corner, you see that slanted A. That means EL, the Lord of all. Okay. And these 3 form 2 crosses. It's not an X, and that's going to be proven in the Hebrew. So where we were at is that there were 7 cities of Salem that it went through in 2017. And Salem is as shalom. It's all about peace. And in Hebrew, that's what it means: peaceful, safe, complete, perfect. And the biblical reference is the city of Jerusalem. And USA is in major trouble, which all of you guys know, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
USA is the heart of Jerusalem. The three letters in the middle are USA in Jerusalem. And then the 7 means fullness, completion, symbol of wholeness, harmony, perfection. So that was what 2017 brought forward. And then I started talking about 2023 to explain to people it's a key part of it, because if you just have the 2, you don't have the whole message. With the 3, Father has put his signature across this nation. But it's up to us if we're going to align with what the plan is. And so repentance, which has not happened that much, and that's what we're coming into in 2024, is about Nineveh. On April 8th, it's going to swing through those 13 states, and in the direct path, there are 6 that have a town Nineveh in the direct path. Now, Missouri is the only state where both of these are going to happen. And I'm sure you've heard the messages where the Mississippi is going to split in half, which means America is going to split in half and be divided from then on. Now, the Missouri starts down in Louisiana in the Gulf. And all of those weird border lines coming up through Louisiana, going up around all these states, all the way to Minnesota and out into Canada, that's the Mississippi. And that Mississippi dividing line is what happened under President Andrew Jackson, where he sent all the Native American Indians to the other side of the Mississippi. They forced them out of their homes, forced them off their land, sent them on the other side of the Mississippi. So that's the division. To heal all of this, and it's not just about the Native American Indians, but to heal all of this, Father is prompting through those 6 cities of Nineveh, because 6 in Hebrew is Vav. And Vav has a lot of definitions. That symbol is also resembles a tent peg. It also resembles the spikes that were put into Christ. It resembles 6 is the beast. 6 is human man. And all of these meanings. But what he directed us to is relationship and the connection. That's Ruach HaKodesh in Hebrew, the Holy Spirit operating in us, connecting us to the Lord overall. Because these 3 are proving he's never left us, never forsaken us, because it has felt like that. We've been dealing with some really tough issues in America. And when this one comes through now in 2024 on April 8th, so we're just a few days away, that's when it's going to pass over the Mississippi at the Missouri border. It's going to cover 3 state borders, really. It's got Mississippi is in Louisiana, Mississippi goes on up to Minnesota, and it's Kentucky. You see Kentucky's right close, and Illinois and Missouri. Those are the 3 right there where it crosses. So Missouri is the only state with the Salem and Nineveh, as I mentioned, but where this cross happens over Missouri, Indiana, or Missouri, Illinois, is exactly where this huge cross is. And nobody knew about this cross. It's called the Bald Knob Cross, but it's also the Cross of Peace. And it's 111 feet tall. And the title of the area, Alto Pass, that is the highest pass where they could put train tracks. And so that's as high as they went, was to Alto Pass in Illinois. So that location is where this Cross of Peace is. And that's exactly where that cross is going to form, the second cross with the 2024 eclipse. And what we're learning from all of this is about Nineveh. And a lot of people don't realize it was Assyria took those 10 tribes of the north of Israel captive in 721 BC. And then I didn't know when Jonah was there, but when Jonah was there, everything was better. They all repented, and in 40 days, the city was going to be overthrown, but they all repented. The king was going to be overthrown. So he made it a decree. We're all going to make sure we fast. We're all going to make sure we cry out. There's going to be no evil or violence. And they turned from their wicked ways. And so God relented and didn't overthrow. Now, Assyria is the nation that was there, and Nineveh was the capital of that nation. So after that happened with Jonah, everybody stops the story there. But in scripture, it's Jonah, which is a short little book right toward the end of the Old Testament. Then it's Micah, then it's Nahum. And 100 years later, and that's how God took me to this, 100 years later, Nahum was sent to Nineveh, and it had gone all back to paganism and Gentile worship, and 100 years later, and so their time was up. So now here's what's really amazing, is that those 10 tribes that they took captive into Assyria, into Nineveh, those 10 tribes were all pulled out. And if you flow to the end of Nahum, it's a short little book, and at the very end, God said, you will not know where I've taken them. You will not know how to find them. So I have scattered them, and he gives this whole description. So I'm just briefly paraphrasing all of this. Yes, they were the lost tribes, and that's why they're called the lost tribes to this day. But the Apocrypha was in the middle of the 1611 King James Version of the Bible. And while that was in there, that explained that God lifted up the water, just like when he split the Red Sea. So nobody was walking in silt and mud and like that. And the people were able to walk across in a year and a half, and they went to uninhabited lands. So the first peoples in Canada are those tribes. The Native American Indians are those tribes. They went to many nations, and God lifted up the water so they could walk across. And I prove this because this is something he had me put in my second For the Sake of America book in the 5-book series, is that what we didn't understand is that's even if it was as far as where it is today to cross the water, there was a guy that went up in Nova Scotia and came down into America and crossed all the way to San Diego, and God had me track his path. And he made stops and spent visiting with people and took his time. And it didn't take him anywhere near a year and a half. I think he did it in something like 6, 7 months. And so it would be easy for them to do. And now here's what happened. When God got them out, and they had repented before, but this time they did not. So God took his people, got them out of the situation. That's why we're hearing all the time, if America goes down, there's nowhere else to go, because they've destroyed all of these nations. So with the destruction of Nineveh due to the wickedness of the king, Assyria is no more, Nineveh is no more, and the location of Nineveh today is Mosul in Iraq. So the message for us is, are we wanting to live together, unite together? Because this world has been given to us. This uninhabited land has been given to us. So what are we going to do about it? Because we can be just like Nineveh. We can be just like the king of Assyria, having control over our system and make us slaves. Or we can decide we want liberty and freedom. And that's where we are right now. Potential for America to become back for the Republic, for America, for the people, because it hasn't been toward the people since the Pilgrims came in 1620, or arrived in 1620. So where we're at right now is a big decision point. But as far as thinking he's going to blow up America, or he's going to split it in half, or he's not saying anything about that, because his hope is for the people to understand that to live in liberty and freedom gives everybody freedom, no matter what your background is, no matter what your beliefs are, no matter what is going on. And so that's this major message with these three. And never, ever have we had these sweeping ones going across. The next one's called a full eclipse in 24, 25 years. It's going to be swinging where? North Dakota and Montana. And it's called a full solar eclipse, because they don't cross America all the time. They're around the world all the time. But these sweeping ones like this do not happen. They do not happen. And we look 30 years out, there's nothing. We look 30 years back, there's nothing that resembles anything like what he's doing right now with these three. And look at these miraculous years. 2017, he reversed the curse by swinging in. Then he confirmed the curse by the top of the Aleph being formed. And then now he swings across, and here are the two crosses. And let me just bring up this Hebrew video, because this is miraculous. When this guy shares the message in Hebrew, this will confirm what I just shared. I shared this in 2022, and I knew nothing about eclipses.
Is there supposed to be sound with it, Sheila?
Yes, you can't hear it?
I can't my end, no, so I'd assume probably the audience can't hear it. We can see it, but we can't hear it. 310. That's the election day, 310th day of the year. You know when you said about it's not an X, it's a cross. It's interesting that because in the simple
Yes,
gematria,
and he's going to define that.
yeah, we can't hear it. Emmett Brown. But the so we're in the year 2024, as you mentioned. In the simple alphabet, the 24th letter of the alphabet is X. You've got X with Twitter, you've got, you know, these coins, XDC, XRP, etc. But solar is alphabet, which is 65. But if you do the solar eclipse, it comes to 167, which comes to the number 24 when you spell it out. But you said it's a cross. Cross is 74, which is Jesus, which is Gematria. So it's interesting. It's interesting some of the comparisons that are coming up. Yeah, we can't hear it, but people can go back and play it, I'm sure, if it's online. You said Nineveh is in a certain place. Where was it again?
It's now Mosul in Iraq. It was the capital of Assyria.
Okay. So is this why we're hearing all about Iraq will be the first to go in the RV?
I don't know. Because the Iraq story is so unique. So is the Iranian story. Now here we come to the X, and the X becomes the cross.
Yeah.
and that's when they put the blood over the door.
Yeah.
Without the blood over the door was death. And now he's going to describe, and you know how our guys have been saying everything they're doing is in the fourth and fifth dimension, and it all comes back to the numbers. That's what's so powerful in what you do.
Yeah.
This is truth. And if you don't have Tav, and there's the Aleph, and the Aleph is life truth.
When you were talking about the Jerusalem, and I know some say Jerusalem is in the US, and you've obviously got, as you mentioned, you know, you've got USA in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Right in the center, you know.
So
something funny, yep.
So where we're at, there's one more thing that was so adorable, and I don't think you've seen this yet. This is a 4-year-old, and he was at the Faith Monument when we were there. Let me see here. Did it go away? Can you see this one?
I can just see yourself now.
The what?
I can see you right now, Sheila. I can't see anything else.
Okay. Because I was sharing about the young boy. There was a young boy that was at the Faith Monument when we were there with Juan. It was our second tour. And he noticed me as I came.
That's that big, huge monument, isn't it? The Faith Monument?
Yes, 81 feet tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this boy was just noticing everything that was happening. And so I thought, well, do you want to pray with me? Because I'm going to be speaking in a minute. And he just kept shaking. He said no. And his grandma said he loved to pray. And so that night she went to lay him down to go to bed. And she goes, you love to pray with people. Why didn't you pray with that woman? And he goes, oh, grandma, she didn't need it. You didn't see the big white angels around her. You didn't see it because he saw me in the glory. And so, and a lot of adults don't have that ability because they're not connected with the Father, because it's all of these dimensions. You talk about it in the numbers. And that's exactly what President Trump operating in 5D, when you're that tight, because you have to know in advance what's going on. And that's what, like you're talking about the numbers of how they all lead to that. And the numbers in Hebrew match with the letters who give us the messages. And so it's something that the average person isn't even involved in. And so when you take all this information, and that's why people go, my goodness, when Tom talks, I mean, there's just so much for us to understand. It's because we don't understand the other dimensions. We have to study and learn it like you've done. And so he saw me in operating like this. And so he said she was the one that didn't need prayer. And so when we did the faith monument and Juan O'Savin did the final closing prayer, God said, get the microphone and have him give the testimony. So I went over to him and he looked at all of us. He looked at Juan and I and all the other people who had been speaking. There was all sorts of stuff happening. And then there were all sorts of people that showed up at the Faith Monument because they see all these people and they see all these cars because it's up in a cul-de-sac. Nobody even knows it's there. Nobody even goes there. And it's the 4 pillars on how to raise a child in the way they should go so they don't depart from the truth. And so he's standing there and I said, you're supposed to give your testimony. And he looked at us that we're on the microphone with him. And he looked at us and he said, now, do I share it with you guys, or does God want me to share it with all of them? Because they just got here. You know, I mean, his discernment was amazing. And we said, yeah, I think you're supposed to share it for everybody. So he shared the testimony I just shared about his experience with me. And then he goes, Jesus took care of Satan. So I don't know why you guys aren't kicking his butt, because all you have to do is kick his butt. It's easy. So please start kicking Satan's butt. He said, in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, amen. And he handed me back the microphone and ran off to play. And nobody could talk. I mean, everybody's like looking at each other. Did you hear what he just said? He's 4 years old, this kid, and did this. It's amazing what the children are getting. It's just like the children that made their parents sit down and listen to my interviews, because now my books are used for homeschooling, because like we want to know this truth. And they were telling me I was correcting history. And I'm figuring out, you know what, this is why I probably hated history growing up and civics. I thought it was stupid. And because it never had the truth in it. So our focus now is to seek the truth, know the truth, align with the truth, because operating in those other dimensions, the 4th and 5th dimension of the words, it's all in the Hebrew, which was the original language. So this is just a very, very powerful time. But now more and more people are saying, well, the word Egypt is there and the word, all this other stuff. God never complicates it. To him, everything is kept simple. Just, this is what I'm telling you. And that's what Christ said. I only do what I see the Father do, and I only say what I hear the Father say. So it's a much simpler message. So I'm really honored to have this chance to let you guys know about this, because it matches up with everything that you've been working on, everything you've been trying to educate people on, because it's education that's missing. So thank you for you don't give up. You continue on, Tom. It's been amazing getting to know you.
Thank you, Sheila. You said about the 5th dimension. So the 5th dimension is 184 in numbers, which also comes to secret frequency. So that's nice how you've been, people don't know about it. It's there. And I guess with me, I get the numbers, they come to me. The downloads, they come, and then I just work them out and can pin them on the numbers. But the information comes, and then it's like, oh, it's that. Oh, okay, it's that. So that's so whether it's where it's coming from, who's giving it to me, I've got an idea, but I'm grateful for it. Yeah. So all of us that have been doing this work, it's like, okay, we've got to do it. And now it's lovely that it's starting to come kind of full circle, and we're getting to see the bigger picture now. What do you feel is going to happen on the 8th of April? 4/8 actually is Tom in numbers. April 8th, 4/8, 48. But it's also blood. And President Trump spoke about the blood, the bloodbath, and people saying, well, that's the automotive industry in regards to China. It's like, yeah, but we know he speaks in multiple comms all the time, and he is acting on the higher dimensions. What do you feel that we're going to have the eclipse, and I thought about going there. I don't think I will, but it'd be amazing for those that are there. What do you feel that we're going to see after? What do you see after that point, that pivotal marker in the sand, effectively? What do you see from that point on?
Well, look at how we're leading up to it. There's a momentum that's happening. I mean, you heard about the Baltimore bridge today. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way. And now the truth is, see, because we don't know the truth about these things. Did you know that if you take your ship in there, your container ship in there, you're not going to be driving it around those bridges. They have drivers that get on your ship and they take them through. You don't have anybody that can just bring their container ship and do that. You know what I mean? So people are like,
Okay.
oh my gosh, how did they not catch him in advance?
Yeah.
So something very unusual happened today. And it's a really unique, to me, kind of false flag. There are so many things that are happening right now, and so many people are getting so nervous about this one eclipse. This is one of the three. The message is in the three. There's a completion in the three, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the three, the
Yeah.
mimicry mockery of the three and the three. I mean, we
Three's a
didn't
magic
understand
number.
about the numbers and the dimensions, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's so powerful again, and what you've been doing, because when people don't know it, then what do? They criticize it. And so I know you've taken a lot of flack because I hear it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people don't understand. But just like when that Hebrew scholar was sitting there and he put the Hebrew down for the mother, he put the Hebrew down for the father, and those numbers off of those, and those are the different dimensions, and you have to take the whole picture of it. And once you do that, the 44 is the same as the child in Hebrew. So all these numbers all match up, and you don't end up wondering, well, what does Sheila Holm think, or what does Tom Numbers think? You know what you know because you know what the truth is. And that's the difference, because you know the process, you know how to seek it out, you know how to put it together, you know how the messages go based on the numbers, and it comes from ancient times. This is nothing that's new. People think it's some kind of a new age thing. This is not new. These numbers all have had this meaning. And it's to seek out a thing and know what the truth is about it. And it's painstaking, and it seems to come easy for you. I don't know how you can do it so easily. I cannot put numbers together like that at all. And Rachel can do it too. She will just be talking to me, goes, oh, that adds up
Yeah.
to this. And so, oh yeah, Sheila, and then this is the answer. And I'm like, where did we just go? You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
really don't know. I don't know the things you guys know. I only know what I know. But see, we all have a part in this.
That's
But
it.
do I think they think there's going to be earthquakes with tsunamis and everything, and instead it happens after every eclipse. I was just on a big TV show, a 2-hour interview on Friday, and the host kept talking about this amazing video that she had seen, because after every eclipse like this, a sweeping eclipse, there's earthquakes and there's tsunamis, and she was listing all these horrible fear-oriented things that go on. Didn't happen in 2017. It didn't happen in 2023. People didn't even hardly notice that those eclipses happened. But because now this message is so significant and the numbers add up to such a significant time, and the message is so clear, now people are like, oh, well, the Mississippi's going to split. I mean, the people on the tour, and so many of them contacted me and said, Sheila, are we going to be a divided nation after this? You're asking me. And
Mhm.
that's not what the plan is. The
Yeah.
X in Greek means Christ, but the X becomes the cross, becomes the open door. Will we become a united nation? Will we not let the tyrants rule us anymore? And this is true for all of us, in all of our nations. It's all the same. What they're doing to us in America, they've already done to all the other nations. I mean, England isn't the same. I mean, I have relatives in Hunstanton and Lincolnshire and Cornwall and Sussex, and it's tough on them. And up in Scotland, tough on them. There's no nation that hasn't gone through these horrific things from people who don't understand, but they're ruling everything. And so that's why I'm so excited about what you're doing and the truth that you're getting out, because people have to start understanding there's a deeper truth in what you know, because everything they've told us is lies.
Yeah, it is. I was speaking with who was it? I was talking to Rachel about it, and I think I did it on the show as well. So there's obviously a lot of talk about the eclipse that's coming up, and I was thinking, is that going to be a big kind of dramatic thing? I mean, you know, the actual physical thing of the eclipse is physical and dramatic, but I felt more like it was going to be a kind of a line, a marker, like a completion of a message, and then we'll look back in time and be like, oh, we noticed things really maybe started to move on and kick on from that point. That's what I felt. I mean, I am waiting for something really kind of glorious and divine that unites all of us together. I mean, you know, the normies, the people that just don't know anything's going on, but they're good people, they're not bad, they just don't know. And I do feel there has to be a point where that happens, but I don't think it's going to be things like wars, and I think it's going to be more of a transition to greatness, like President. There you go. My laser wristwatch just confirmed it. Just beeped as I said. It's going to be a transition to greatness. I believe that. I think that's more with all of this journey. I mean, we had the events of 2020, and that was very different and unusual. But for most of us, it would probably, can't speak for everybody, but for most of us, it was probably a season, although it went on for more than a season of inconvenience, really, for most people. It was an upheaval, but you weren't, you know, struck with real destruction. I know some people did have that in their life, but, you know, globally, it was, you know, people had the chance to go and sit in their room, really, and kind of contemplate life. And so, as all of these things that have been taking place, it's been different from what we expected, but nevertheless, it's still moving forward. And so I look at the eclipse as something like that. I mean, I'm all open for a big wow. I love all big wows. And I think we will get to that. You know, what you talked about, the orders of the books in the Bible. There's something I've noticed, and I've been talking about it a lot. So Malachi, the very last book in the New Testament, there's a scripture in Malachi 3:10, and it talks about the windows of heaven and God pouring out a blessing upon the people. And I do see that coming. And people talk about Nasara Jasara. I'm for that. I've also heard others in the community say, oh, no, that's the other side. They were going to do that. Whatever it is, I do believe there's going to be a restitution of all things and a blessing poured out upon the people. And that scriptural verse talks about it. And the interesting thing about that for me is the chapter and verse. So it's Malachi 3:10. This year's election in America, the election of all elections, and there's many elections around the world, but in my opinion, the calling and election made sure is 3:10, is this November the 5th. And we've been told in England, and also I guess around the world, but it's in people's consciousness, there's the phrase, remember the 5th of November. And I do think that that's when we're going to really see the kind of glorifying biblical things, but uniting as well with not just, I think there needs to be a conjoining of the dimensions, and also just our brothers and sisters that just don't really understand what's going on. They're just kind of, you know, being moved around in a gentle way, maybe not sometimes gentle, but they need to be. 2020 didn't wake up. It woke a lot of people up, but it didn't wake the majority up. And they somehow need to be like, okay, what else is going on? I do believe that there will be a moment like that. And I think, might be wrong, but I feel that something has been decreed for a long time. And I think it's 3:10, because the leap year puts it onto the 310th day of the year. President Trump even talks about it, in my opinion, in his book, Art of the Deal. So he's got a chapter in the Q posts. They talk about a week to remember. Remember the 5th of November. And then a week later, November 11th, you have Armistice Day. Or I think, is it Veterans Day in America? Remembrance Day. But look at this. The phrase remember the 5th of November in numbers in the simple gematria comes to 355. President Trump in his Art of the Deal, the Art of the Deal is 148 gematria, which is also scriptures. Interesting enough, Trump is 88, Exodus, you know, there's a big movement going on. But President Trump's very last chapter in his book is page 355, and it says, the week that was. I wonder if the week to remember starts November 5th and goes through to November 11th. And it says, look at how all the deals came out, 355. Something's coming. And I feel it could be then. And I think maybe in hindsight, once we see the effects of the eclipse and other events that go on from there, I think 2020, we had it in 2020. 2020 is beautiful in hindsight. When you're in the middle of it, you don't always necessarily see it. But I think we might have the opportunity to look back at the completion of the 3 eclipses and be like, okay, makes more sense now. The message is understood. Some people get the message now, but I think even we'll get more clarity as we move on. But who knows? I mean, I'm all open for the wow. I do think we need a wow, but I've noticed with this the last 4 years, it's been a transition. President Trump said it, a transition to greatness. What is that? It's a transition to greatness. It's like, okay, all right, if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. And we're on the ride, we're on the wave, and we continue. But yeah, Malachi 3:10. I think it might even be a jubilee moment. People are saying, "Oh, the election won't take place." Maybe it won't. Maybe it does, and maybe they try and do exactly the same thing again, and maybe we see military and everything else come in. Military in numbers is 107. Trump's is 107. Quantum's 107. Currency is 107. Aquarius is 107. Eternal life is 107. Maybe we see that, the windows of heaven, the military of heaven. Maybe that's what it is. But the marker is 310. And President Trump has always been going down to Yuma in Arizona. The wall. Wall is 48. Blood is 48. 4/8. April 8th. He's been going down to Yuma when he was president, and even since he's not been technically president. And there's a film called The 310 to Yuma that's been made twice. But it was so good they made it twice. It's like 310. The 310th day of the year, because it's a leap year, is November 5th. We've been told to remember it. And 310 is Malachi 3:10, the windows of heaven, a massive Jasara Nasara Jubilee moment. I think it might be the victory point. Let's hope. Let's hope. We'll see what comes. We'll see what comes. But it's coming. Whatever's coming is coming.
You're bringing so many gems. I mean, I'd have to. I mean, oh my gosh, you brought so many important things together in what you just shared. I'm trying to go back and put some of this together, but 107 is also 17, and look at how many 107s is also 17, and so our friend 107 is 17, and our president is 17 plus. You see what I mean? And to say he was Exodus, and people don't understand this, when the promised land was Israel back then, when the promised land was that, not everybody left Exodus. Not everyone left Egypt. There wasn't a mass exodus, and they were comfortable. They had a roof over their head. They had some food on the table, so they were slaves. And imagine the exodus now that he's working on, because you led right into this. I don't even know if you knew this, but you were leading right into this fact that we still care about those that didn't get out and we're still enslaved. Because this whole thing about liberty and freedom is to get everybody out from under enslavement, so that they all understand, don't ever let tyranny come back again. Because that's why the Pilgrims came to America. That's why they put up that monument. By the time we had the Civil War, they put up a soldier monument. When they put up the soldier monument, we were stuck. They knew that we weren't going to have liberty and freedom on the land, and that's in 1863, 64, 65. They take out Lincoln. They dedicate it to Lincoln, and in 4 years, they immediately put it up. It's identical to the Faith Monument, but they knew. And what you just described and what you just shared takes us from those horrible, horrible experiences and brings us into this transition to greatness. And then that's how you brought it. I mean, Tom, you just amaze me and how you just brought all this together and all the numbers together. But that's the journey we've been on, and people have not understood it. But you just described it with scripture, with the numbers, those are the dimensions that the people don't seem to understand. But that's what we're fighting for. It's a deeper fight. And that's why this April 8th is so exciting, is because this is his signature on the land. And it's like, don't keep treating my people like this. Exactly like what he did by sending Jonah with the word, and by sending Nahum to say, nobody treats my people like this. So now, since they've done this in all the other nations, and there was a powerful little clip, I'll see if I can find it and get it to you. There was a rally, and I don't know what town it was in, but I'll find out. And you know the new leader of Argentina, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Powerful, because they were right at the top with America. I mean, their value was very, very high. Venezuela was very, very high. These nations were very, very productive. They did very, very well. People don't understand that. The oppression and the suppression of all of the people globally has been so severe. And what you just spoke into is that hope of that transition to greatness, because that president flew into America, was standing behind the scenes at the rally. And it was Scavino Jr., Dan Scavino Jr., who put out this quick little clip. And man was just practically crying, saying,
Yeah.
"Thank you, sir. We're going to do this together." And he said, "Yes, you're not alone." And that's what I think the message is to all of us, is that the only way we can unite together is quit letting them have us be divided, because that's when it doesn't work. But that's what's worked for them. And when they divided and only so many left Egypt, then the other ones were wondering, we probably would have been better if we were back in Egypt. You see what I mean? There's always that. That's the transition I think you're talking about. We have the opportunity to all go forward in this together, because never in all of history has this depth of evil ever been dealt with.
Yeah.
Never in all of history. This is
Yeah.
such a powerful time. And that's why I think so much has been given unto you, because you were ready for all of this. I mean, it's amazing. I try and keep up with you. I take notes, and still I can't do the numbers as fast as you can do the numbers and what they relate to and everything else. But it is so profound to hear that, because we need that understanding becoming available to people, because we're now entering into something we've never walked in before, because we've never united together and lived in liberty and freedom for any extended period of time. And that's where we're headed. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Definitely agreed. Thank you, Sheila. Yeah. So when you're saying about all that, another thing that popped into my mind was so that phrase, remember, the 5th of November. Remember comes to 158 in numbers. That comes to week to remember. The Q post talks about a week to remember, so that's 159, which is John F. Kennedy, Jr. But week to remember is 158. But it's also children of Israel. And President Trump has been, the president of the Abraham Accords, and he joked how he wanted to call them, the Donald John Trump Accords, with a wink at the screen, and then but the Abraham is 44, which is faith. Hope is also 44. It's MAGA is 22. Deal is 22. MAGA deal is 44. Abraham or faith or hope. Faith plus hope is 88. Trump, Exodus. You had the first book of the Bible, Genesis, which is 78, which is Kennedy. Then you have Trump, 88. Then you skip on a couple and you've got Numbers, the fourth book. So it's like the 5 books of the Pentateuch. It's all there. Moses, 71, which is a mirror of 17. Lady Diana, 71. But if you do 71 plus 17, you get back to 88 Trump. And Israel is 64 in numbers. Jubilee is 64 in numbers. Tenet, a great film that I always reference, but in the principles of what you believe, Tenet is 64. And if you do 8 times 8, it's 64. So you've got those numbers there. Even if you multiply them, it still comes back to 88, because it's this infinity of resurrection. I mean, that's why he's called Trump. That's why he's got those numbers. If you do Trump plus Christ or plus power, 77 comes to 165, which is resurrection. And I think we're going to see those things coming in the future. I believe in that. The resurrection is 198, which is President Trump. Calm before the storm is 198, and he said, they say, well, what storm is present? Oh, you'll find out. Storm is 85. Storm is awakening. Storm is silver. The silver is going to get revalued at some point. And you talked about liberty. Liberty is 91, which is POTUS 91, and it's also Space Force 91, and it's also the Father 91. Yeah. So all these things mentions the technology. God, everything's all together,
When he stood there in front and they said, "What storm, Mr. President?" And he said, "You'll see."
Yeah.
He had 24 generals and he was there. The shadow government destroying us has 24 guys with one guy in charge. He was trolling. So 24. What does 25 mean in 24? Because that had to have a certain meaning to him too, because he doesn't do anything just casual. everything he does has deeper meaning to it. And I've
Yeah.
been wanting to ask you about that, but we haven't. You're so
Which one?
busy. It's just the
Sorry,
what?
but yeah.
The
What
24
20?
and then the 1 liter 25. And
Yeah.
he was trolling him with that.
Well, 24, if you spell out the two words 24, comes to 167, comes to the solar eclipse. We spoke about that earlier. But President Trump came down the escalators on June 16th of 2015. I met Ivanka Trump, his daughter, 5 days prior in Manhattan, just a stone's throw from Trump Tower. Trump Tower is 169, the Great Awakening. Yeah, he came down the steps on the escalators on 167th day of the year. Just above him and Melania's head was currency exchange. He's spoken about an RV. He says there will be a level playing field. Level playing field comes to 176 in numbers, which is November the 5th, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
All of those things that, which is also this. It's either, I need to work, it's in my other fact that it's either the week that was is 176. I think that's what it is, November 176, which is November the 5th, Back to the Future level playing field, or it's how the deals came out, but I'm pretty sure it's 176, the first line. So he's telling us November the 5th. I think it starts, the week to remember starts November 5th and it runs to November 11th. I think it does, because of all the codes there. But you were asking about 24 and 25. So 24, we're in the year of 2024. X marks the spot in so many ways. The 24th letter of the English alphabet is X. There's 26 letters in the alphabet. 26 equals the word God, equals the word game. And then if you take it to 25, so 25 instantly makes me think of Jack. You've got Jack Kennedy. But if you do 24 plus 25, that comes to 49, which comes to yes. And I think, yeah, and it's also crash. And I think we will have a crash of some description, a transition to greyness. But then it's yes. I think this is the year of yes. I think it's the year of the X. In fact, that's obvious because of the eclipses. But I do think it's yes. It's President Trump said, if you're going to think big, if you're going to think at all, think big. And it's all about yes. He's not about no. He's all about yes. Even the word positive, Sheila. So the word positive is 11-5 in numbers, 115. That can be broken down into a date, which is November 5th.
Yeah.
Which is part of the deal is 115, 11.
Yes.
Positive. President Trump is positive. He also knows, from a scientific point of view, how to play both sides. And you need, in physics, you have a positive and you have a negative charge. But if they're in balance, then you have harmony. So guess what the word for negative is? It's 83. The number is 83, but there's also election. So look at the beauty of this. So you have 115, art of the deal. 11-5 is November 5th, which equals the word positive. On that day, we have an election. Election is 83 in numbers, which is also negative. And I don't mean good and bad. I'm just saying, positive and negative charges. But you add them together, it comes to 198, which comes to President Trump, which comes to the resurrection.
Yeah.
You see, so
the
it's
resurrection of the country. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The resurrection of the country, the resurrection of the world. And it's and I do believe there will be literal resurrections of good loved ones that will come in time. President Trump's spoken about the best is yet to come. That's 228 in numbers. Is that a reference to 2028? It could be, but we need things to happen this year, 2024. President Trump said the final battle is this year, so I believe him. Everything he says, I believe. I hear everyone saying things and stuff, but he's my go-to. He's kind of like the Bible as far as I'm concerned in terms of what he says, and I'm like, he's our messenger. His name's even on the tin in the Book of Revelation. They talk about the Trump of the last days. Depending on which translation, it's either trumpet or trumps or Trump, and it's like, I've said it to people before and they're like, no, it's not that Trump, not Donald Trump. It's like, well, it is actually. It's Donald Trump. His name is on the tin. For something so important, for a leader to be God's messenger and leader to change the world, and to be the figurehead of that, it's no coincidence to me that his name is Trump and it's in Book of Revelation. When you spell the numbers, the simple gematria, if you do Book of Revelation in numbers, it comes to Donald John Trump, 185. The Silver Reset, 185. The Awakening Reset, 185. Everything's there. You know, the storm reset, the storm water, we've been, however you want to put it, it's like, it's 185,
Yeah.
it's all there.
Yeah.
And the baddies knew it. So energetically, they went after him and Melania in 2001. Why did Stanley Kubrick do, you know, the guy that did the moon landings, why did he do the movie 2001 Space Odyssey? They were planning something, 2001, September 11th. We know the events of that, but World Trade Center is 185 in numbers, which is Donald John Trump, which is Book of Revelation. Building 7 is 143, which is Melania Trump. Ground Zero is 143, which is Melania Trump. 143 is also November 5th. November 5th and the events of September 11th are somehow intrinsically connected. And President Trump his numbers are all over the place. He has gold and silver through his name. If you do Donald Trump, it's 138 in numbers, which is revaluation 138. The Savior 138, if you spell it the English way with the I. 138 is the gold reset. Donald John Trump is 185, the silver reset. 85 is silver in numbers, 38 is gold in numbers. If you add them together, you get 123. Comes to Abraham Lincoln, comes to his son, Eric Trump. It's like, it's all over the place. He was born in 1946. The atomic number for palladium is 46. If you spell the word platinum, that's 106, which is red pilling. And the atomic number for platinum is 78. 78 is Kennedy. The most expensive precious metal I'm aware of, one says there's others, I haven't found them, but the one that you can look up is rhodium. You spell the word rhodium, it comes to 88, which is Trump. It's just under, I think, $1 million a kilo. It's like this kind of dark silver. The atomic number for rhodium is 45. Who's the 45th president? Donald Trump. The atomic number, the atomic symbol for rhodium is RH. That comes to 26 in numbers. 26 is card, Trump card. God, 26. There's all over the, it's all over the place. It's like, you know, I believe we're in some kind of divine matrix simulation, God creation, whatever it is. You know, we'll probably find out and remember in time. But he's a key component to it, as all of us individually are, and collectively. You know, we're all understanding our own missions as we go through this journey, as we progress through the game, through life, the simulation, whatever it is. This thing that we're in is far more magical than maybe we forgot, but we're remembering again. Remember, which is 158, which is Children of Israel 158. We're remembering it again, you know? So
we're coming back to the truth of who we're actually connected with, because they kept us all divided. You're this group, you're this group. We don't have any of those names. We're all from the same seed. So here we go, you know.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
And the blood is red. The blood is red. And when you mention about the blood, that's about the cross, and that's about the ex Christ that became the cross, that then became the open door. Are we gonna enter in? Never, ever in all of history, all the way back to the garden, never has this all been dealt with. And I was so excited when I saw what happened in 2017 when he went to all the different nations. Never has a sword dance been done like that. The princes were handled the next week. Never has anyone eaten in the Forbidden City in China. No one has ever crossed the wall into North Korea and sat with the president there. These things didn't happen, and nobody from America has ever had a surrender from the Queen and actually done the inspection on the Queen's Guard, and then did it in front of Charles also. It's just,
it's biblical.
There's something going on now, and I don't know what this is, because they normally never ever get cancer, and you guys have a lot of cancer happening in England right now. So is God saying anything about that?
Is who, sorry?
Is God saying anything about that and any of these numbers, any of the?
Well, royal is 71. You said about the Queen, I was just thinking of it. So the Queen, how do I say it? The shot, I think I can say that. But the Queen, 95 in numbers is the Queen. it's also Tuesday, and that election, that day of all days, President Trump said it again recently. He said that's going to be the most important day of America's history.
Yes.
That's pretty big coming from him saying that. You know, he's been highlighting what he's been talking. You know, we've been saying it, and it's like he's actually just said it again in the last couple of weeks. That day is a super important day, and it's not just an election. I think it's far bigger. I think it's God, biblical, divine. I think it's the flip. I think it's the Esther moment. Myself personally,
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I think because we can trace it back. It's like, why have all these Easter eggs? Why have all these pieces of information been put into our minds? Because there's good and there's distraction, and then there's good codes, and there's codes that have one meaning, and then as you get a more of a bird's eye view, it pops up. It's like a pop-up book, and it has a different meaning. And so this thing with the election, it has so many references. It's like I talked about yes, the word yes. That's 49 in numbers. But yes, the 5th of November is 246 in numbers. 246 is a divine number. It's 123 plus 123. It's the biblical phrase which says, in the twinkling of an eye. That's a biblical phrase, which is 246, which comes to, yes, the 5th of November, 246. Calling an election made sure is 246. I'm like, okay, an election made sure, calling. Okay, you were just watching the called, you know. There's been all these pieces. It's like lots of us were brought up with different faiths, some were brought up non-faith, but all these pieces to the puzzle, they're like Horcruxes. They've all been placed around the earth in different times, and we're picking them up and we're all bringing them together in this one great truth where everything's coming together. It's like where we go one, we go all, you know. It's like, and that comes to 85, which comes to storm, which comes to awakening. And it's like, okay. So everything is coming, but I do think it is that, and the royals have, you know, that has to be played out. That has to be, the people have to be. I mean, I'm having relatives now asking me, well, what's going on with Kate? And then the next day she comes out and says she's ill, but then she was wearing the same stripy jumper from 4 years ago. And it's like, that's you know, usually people like that never get seen in the same clothes, do they? You know, it's like, what's all this about? And so people, bit by bit, are beginning to see it in a gentle, there you go, I'm making up a word, a gentle and kind way. And I guess for us as patriots, I guess front runners in some ways, but others have been running from the front a long time before we were. It's maybe we just have to be patient. It's like we could see it, so we're like, why isn't it here yet? Because, like you said, we've got to go. All those other benevolent people that just don't know, they've just been tricked. They haven't, you know, there's a whole bunch of people on the earth that are innately good, and they need to be saved as well, you know. And so that's why I guess the pause was necessary. The pause is also 95, which is Tuesday. So it's like, does the pause come to an end? I think it does, because the pause, President Trump said it started on that election that got, you know, we know what happened there in 2020. He said, oh, it's gone on for 2 years. In fact, it will go for 4 years. That's a perfect leap. It's like 2020, the election, all the way through to the 2024 election. And he's now said it's going to be the most important day in America's history. And I would also say silently that when he says that, he's also saying in the history of the world, you know. And so I think it is. I do think it's the election of all elections. And he said it here again. Remember the 5th of November in numbers is 355. And in President Trump's book, it says, you know, the week that was and how the deals were made. He's the deal maker. You know, deal is MAGA. President Trump uses the codes. He uses simple gematria because it's 148 in numbers. Donald J. Trump, 148. When he's on his rostrum, when he's speaking to the people, he has a text donation campaign number, which is 88022. 88 in the numbers is Trump. 22 is MAGA. So it's Trump, MAGA. Add them together comes to 110, which comes to president. You know, he's there. He tells us, it's like, it's plain sight. When you see it, it's plain sight. You know, and he taught me. He was him, the Kennedys, Princess Diana's essence, some of my relatives, they taught me this from above in lockdown in the first 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't even know what the word gematria was. I was tickled pink when I realized it was 74. Jesus is 74, Messiah 74, Muhammad 74, DeLorean 74, English, London, they're all 74. And it's a mirror reflection of 47. And you've got that scripture in Isaiah where it talks about when you look and you've got the silver being purified, the atomic number for silver, 47. But if you have a reflection of 47, it's 74. And it says you see God, you see Christ in your own reflection. And that's because of the refiner's fire with the silver. Atomic silver is 47 and it reflects back. So it mirrors back to you and it's 74. When you do, which is Jesus. But when you do 47 plus 74, 121, which is Revelation, which is the Trump. The Book of Revelation, or Book of Revelation is 185 Donald John Trump. It goes on and on and on. But it proves to us beyond a shadow of a doubt when you get thousands of references, it's like, oh yeah, thank you. You know, it adds up.
And when he was trolling with Covfefe, I looked it up right away, and then they removed it later in the afternoon. But I looked it up right away in the morning because he came out with that at like 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And Covfefe meant in the end God wins, and then that disappeared by the afternoon. But I don't know what it adds up to. Then they said, Sheila, it's on the chemical chart. Well, I hated chemistry as much as I did history, and so I don't know the chemical charts. I don't know those numbers either. But what do you have on what that meaning was? Have you ever looked at Covfefe?
I have. I got it. So let's spell it correctly. So I think it's 60. It might be 62 or 63, but let's check it. So C. How do we spell it, Sheila?
I think it's Covfefe, isn't it?
It might well be.
I'm trying to look at the chemical chart
it
for
is.
it.
Covfefe is. It's 62, which is what I thought. Yeah. So 62 is Covfefe, which is Queen. And I like to say, well, if the Queen has passed, who's the Queen? I think Diana's coming back as the Queen of England. That's what I think. I think that's part of the transition. I think she's in witness protection. You spell out the word Diana Spencer, the two words, it comes to 109. Spells the word 17, spells the word Psych.Club, my channel, spells the word witness. It's like, if Diana was a witness, what did she witness? Who did she witness against? You know, Diana Spencer Trump, if that's the case, I believe it is. But if that is the case, it comes to 197 in numbers. It comes to every last secret. Sylvester Stallone held up a picture on his Instagram of a woman behind him she had the kind of Diana hands, Melania hands. Every last secret, 197 is Diana Spencer Trump. And 197 is every last secret, which is also the 5th of November. I think that is the biggest day in history. I think it's the one that has been there, and it was marked for something else, which will tie in as well, because what the events of a few hundred years ago didn't take place, but something bigger will happen, but probably in a more elegant, and it's going to be it's a fairy tale ending. I believe in a fairy tale. I do. I believe in the good. I believe in the good. Why do we dream? What's the point? Dream. America, USA in numbers is 41. It's dream. Dreaming is 71, which is Lady Diana. Moses is 71. I think we're in a land. I think the world is far more magical, and there's a reason we spend probably a third of our lives asleep. And in that time we have dreams, and it's like, why are those dreams sometimes not fulfilled? I do believe they get fulfilled in the end. I'm a romantic and optimistic at heart, and I think that's served me well to this point in life, so I'll continue.
It is a beautiful thing, because that is how the answers come. It's not, none of this destruction was ever meant for us. It's just like in healing. I learned this thing that, Father, I thank you for taking me back to July of '88, before that horrific accident where somebody sheared the hitch off of my Jeep. They hit me so hard so many times. And I thank you, because none of these symptoms were ever meant for me. Because whenever you fall, or whenever you are fall down the stairs, or you're in an accident of some sort, you notice how everything just starts going in slow motion, because we live in eternal time, and it kind of warps eternal time. So if you put your left hand out straight in front of you, and then you press it with the fingertips of your right hand, that's the warping that happens when those things happen to you. And I thanked him for removing all the symptoms of what that trauma had for me, because that trauma was never meant for me. And boom, got healed right away. There's such powerful things in everything that you're saying and everything we're leading to. And we've never lived in that liberty and freedom that has us understanding things all the same. With all, can you imagine now with so many people waking up, how glorious this is going to be when we all come together? Because we're
Right.
finding out we don't know the truth about other nations. We don't know the truth about how they were treated. We don't know the truth about who we were actually fighting or not. We don't know why they put us in these wars. We didn't know any of these things because it's all been lies. So
Yeah.
now that all this truth is coming forward, and that's what's so powerful about this. So, so powerful. And I really do pray that all is well with Diana, because she did know. She didn't know until she got in the mix of it, but she did find out
You did.
because their bloodline is a certain number, and then her bloodline was a certain number, and it was that perfection of what they wanted her for, because he was dating the older sister. And then she made a comment. That I think this is all in your news in the UK. My cousins all shared it with me, and that she shared a comment, and then he went back to talk with her that weekend and met Diana, who was much younger. I think she was only 15 or 16 at the time. And then, but that would still make the right thing because they had the right bloodlines in the family. So
Yeah.
all of this has been pre-planned. All of this has been put together. And that's why it's just so strange now. But look at the, and I don't know how this happened, where Prince Philip, the day they announced his death, exactly to the day 17 years later, they announced the Queen's death, which was the same time frame and same date as when Diana was on the cover of Time magazine.
Huh.
And then exactly 17 months later, what just happened now? Jacob Rothschild. Exactly 17 to the exact day of the
Yeah.
announcement of the Queen's death. And they kind of didn't announce it. They kind of talked about it, but they didn't
Yeah.
officially announce it. But Jacob Rothschild. So who knows when he died? But people don't realize those were the dates of the announcement of the death.
Yeah.
Now, what is that leading up to? Because I don't know where the next 17 months is.
Good
Because I'm
point.
not really
Yeah.
good with numbers.
Yeah, I'd have to work it out. It's they're doing it, aren't they? They're trolling because 17's been used from both sides, but definitely the good guys have captured it again. And 17,
Uh-huh.
another one, you talked about how God took away with your accident and how he healed you with that. So
Yeah.
heal to heal, HEAL, heal is 26 in numbers, which is
Mm-hmm.
God, which is God. Healing is 56, which is light.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3. We talked about 3 earlier being, a powerful magic number. And then April is also 56. So that's interesting that the eclipse is taking place in April. It's healing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the 8th. So 8 in numbers is 49, which is yes. You asked me about the 20,
Mm-hmm.
the 24 and the 25. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you go 25. If you do 24 plus the 25, it's 49, which is yes, which is
Mm-hmm.
8. If you do 8th, it's 57, which is Tesla, which is human. And so if you do 56 plus 57, so April 8th, you get 113, which is a reference to 2020. But it's also universe. It's 113 is trumpet, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. And it's like trumpet. So we know everything is light, but sound vibration, and that's what forms things in the 3D and probably in the other dimensions as well. But trumpet is 113 and it's universe. It's like even the word universe is one verse, one song, It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the sound. I mean, it's all in the beginning was the word and then came the numbers, shortly afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
or like was it light and then sound, or was it sound and then light? It's like these things are paired together, words and numbers,
Mm-hmm.
letters and numbers, light and sound, frequency, vibration, energy. They're all just massive, massive pieces of it all, And
Well,
we're human.
we're frequency. That's why I don't
We
want to
are.
ride in an all electric car, because it's like, because we got a lot going on. Um,
Yeah,
these are amazing times, just such amazing times. What an honor to be with you and go through all of these things, because I was wondering if but it wouldn't be the 17 months for the election because it comes too soon. But there's something about all of that, that it was the 17 to 17 to 17. It was Prince Philip, the Queen, and
yeah,
then Jacob Rothschild. So there's been
yeah,
a lot going on where you are. And so If you
17.
do end up coming for the eclipse, let us know.
I will. Thank you. I'd love to go. I have a feeling I won't. I did think about it, but if I do, I will sure let you know. You're going to be there. You're going to go.
I'm not going to get in big crowds. I mean, they've been warning constantly, don't go in big crowds for something like this, because you can stand anywhere in the nation pretty much, because the sun going over the nation is going to
Yeah.
be in full eclipse. And so it's going to be experienced
Yeah.
everywhere in the nation. So if you're standing out in your yard and not even looking at the sun, you will see the passing over of the shadow.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty crazy thing. They're really warning people, don't get in big crowds with no security, because that'd be the easiest thing for them to do something. And so they're warning people it's craziness to have to come right exactly where it's happening, right exactly where it's going over, because it's going
Right.
to be the
Yeah.
same all around it.
Yeah. Keep away. Yeah. Wise.
Uh-huh.
Well, thanks, Sheila. How can people find you? It's been a lot of fun to have you on, and thank you for your patience in getting it done. We had just to change a few things around today, but I appreciate your patience and valor with that. Thank you. How can people find you? How can they see more of your work and what you do?
Hisbest.org. We're real close to transitioning to a new website. We've been working on it for 3 years, 4 different developers, but we're real close. It's hisbest.org. And my books are on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. They're printed in the UK, throughout the EU, Australia, Canada, a lot of countries. Even Japan is printing the books now. So I'm really excited to get this level of truth out. And so it's a
Fantastic.
real honor. And when you mentioned you already know about the Faith Monument, that's quite a thing. And what was happening between the Faith Monument and the Soldier Monument, if you ever want to go over that, we can go over that too. Because I think those dates are related to all of this, because that's what we were dealing with. What we're dealing with now is the same thing they were dealing with then, but the generations haven't shared the information. And so we're dealing with a lot that has just never been dealt with. So, but look at what's happening in these other nations. I agree with you. We're heading into something really miraculous, I think.
Yeah, a miracle is coming. It is. And his best is 82 rainbow. That's one of the, God's divine symbols. It was captured. I mean, it's been recaptured. It's coming back again. You know what I actually saw? So near where I am, there's a seaside town called Swanage. And it's a beautiful part of the world. It's like a traditional postcard seaside town. And you get beautiful rainbows there. I saw one not long ago, but a few months ago, I think it was last year. Or was it earlier this year? I think it was last year. I've never seen this before, but I saw they had one rainbow, and then they had another one. And I don't mean like a double or triple, because I've seen those a few times and they're great. But there were two rainbows, and they were different angles.
Oh, wow.
I've got it on picture somewhere as well, and it was like, I've never ever seen that before. It was like one rainbow, and then there was another one at a different angle, and they were like kind of almost, I think they were touching or just next to each other. I was like, and it wasn't just me looking at it, people walking past were like, look at that. It was like, I've never seen that before. I don't know how that happens. I don't know if that's an unusual occurrence, but in all my days of this time round on the merry-go-round, I've never seen that before. But nevertheless, there it was. Yeah, rainbow.
It's completely unusual to be at different angles. I mean, that is
Yeah,
just
it was. It was kind
that's a
of like,
miracle in and of itself.
it was kind of
Yeah,
like, you know what? It wasn't exactly, but it didn't look too similar now. Thinking about it, about the
yeah,
shapes of the eclipse.
yeah,
It was those sort of things. It was like one was like that, and then another one was kind of a bit like that. It's like
yeah,
two
yeah,
independent rainbows kind of intersecting each
yeah.
other. Like what?
Wow. That's almost exactly like the 2017 to 2024 where they're meeting.
It was.
Exactly,
It was
because one
like
is at
it
an
was.
odd
Yeah,
angle over the other.
it
Yeah.
was.
Oh,
Thinking
that's
about it
wild.
now, it's just come to me now. It was very similar
Yeah.
to the shapes that you've shown us. Yeah.
Wow. I'm wondering what day that was on. Do you have a picture with a date on it? I mean, that would be so miraculous
I'd
to
have to
see.
find it.
To add
I've
up
got it.
those numbers
Yeah, I need to
because you
look
were
at it.
getting a message.
Yeah,
Wow,
I was.
that's exciting.
I'll dig it up. I think I sent it to a friend, and I can see. I think I sent it to one or two people. Yeah, I can try and dig up where it is in my. I can. Yeah, I'll work on that. I'll see if I can find it, because it was incredible. I was like, wow.
Well, please let
And
me
then
know, because it wasn't just it's angular going across each other. It's exactly what we're dealing with right now that they would call, devastation
yeah,
to us. It's not. It's
yeah,
a promise. Yeah.
yeah. And that's it. The rainbow is the promise, isn't it? So it's
Mhm.
like it's amazing because I knew that happened, and just now it's only dawned on me now that it looks very similar, if not the same,
Mhm.
as the shapes you've shown me on the paths of the eclipse.
Mhm.
So I've got it on camera somewhere. I'll dig it up and I'll post it. I'll find it. Yeah, I'll share it with you. Yeah.
Well, and thank you for letting me know about that, because I never tried to name it anything. I never tried to, but when I was in England, they were so excited about what was happening. A guy called, I needed some repair on a laptop that was loaned to me. And so I called the company, and the guy said, I heard you're in town, you're talking. I said, yes, sir, I am. And he goes, I got something to donate to you. And he sent a printer that was UK to the property. All I had to do was pay the taxi. And I said, well, how much is that? And he said, 13 quid. And I go, oh, okay. So I immediately called some friends and I go, what's a quid? I said, it's like $1 in America. So it's like one.
Pound. Yeah.
So you need 13 coin. And so they brought it to, because they said they've never heard anything like this, and to do that. And what Father revealed to me, and it was hard, because I put 3 Superior Court judges and a top trial attorney in prison on federal RICO racketeering charges in America, in San
Oh,
Diego. And I didn't know nobody had ever put a judge in prison before. It takes years for the watchdog agency to get one judge off the bench. And so everybody made such a big deal about it. And I wasn't happy with any of these people. And words came to me that you got to forgive these people, got to forgive these people. And the message from the Father was, I want you to give everyone my best. And that's what I want your ministry to be. And I said, everybody? Are we talking about these guys who destroyed me? And he went, everybody.
yeah.
His souls are important to him. And so I said, well, I could try to do that. And I said, but I don't even know what to call it. And he said, well, you can't call it the Father's best. You can't call it the Son's best. You can't call it the Holy Spirit's best. So it's just his best.
Yeah.
And I said, could I have a confirmation of that? I don't know if you ever heard about this. I'm driving up to Los Angeles to a meeting, and God said, look at that truck coming up along the side. I'm going to show you. And I said, it's just a plain white truck, God. Like, what are you going to show me? A truck goes by, and in dripping blood, it's capital H, capital I, capital S, capital B, small EST, exclamation point. He said, that's the name of your ministry. You give everyone my best. And I was just stunned, because it was a white truck until it came
Wow.
by me. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that's my life. But the blood cures everything. The cobra venom I've been dealing with since the targeting, that cobra venom is snake venom, is all through my system, many, many doses, and it doesn't kill. And when you mentioned about the blood, and the blood keeps coming up in the numbers, I forgot to mention this to you. It's the blood that cures that. So when the snake bites, the snake can die because of the blood countering what's happening with
Uh,
that, but we live. Do you see what
yeah.
I mean? Because of the blood.
Yeah.
There's more to share about all of this, but this has been so awesome, Tom. I'm really glad we finally made this happen. Thank
Me
you
too.
very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. It was great having you on. We'll do another one. And you talk about the snake. So you've got the whole thing in the scriptures of being wise as serpents, but gentle as
Hmm.
dove. And so
Yes.
dove is 46, which is the word best. So his
Yes.
best is
Wow.
dove is the same thing, So yeah, you've got that in your name in your website, yeah. So
Wow. Well, I was a dove whisperer to save a dove that was scared to death. I totally bulging out on the side. And I don't know if you have time to just share that quick one right now. This is so amazing with you, Tom. I came back to a host family in Macon, Georgia, and I just been in town for a few weeks. And I was only going to be here 3 weeks in Georgia. And God changed that because of everything that was planted here in America to destroy us, and was done in Georgia on purpose. And so we're coming home, and the light's shining on a screened-in sun porch. And there's something flying and hitting all the sides of the screens, and it was a beautiful dove. And so I come in and he goes, let me get a broom. I'll get the dove out of here. I said, no, 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 no. So I'm walking over and I'm saying, I just want to know if you're okay. Because if you're okay, we'll release you. It's okay. But I don't know if you're wing. And I came up and the dove let me pick it up. And I mean, that little eye was just bulging out the side. And so I'm picking up this dove and it's letting me pick it up. And I'm walking it all through the sun porch and out onto the back deck. And I said, now, if you've injured a wing or something, we're going to help you. But I just need to know if you're okay. Because that's the whole thing. If we can help people know what their story is, what their trauma is, then they can go on to a new song. U2 has a song about this, about the new song. And and I'll send that to you too. So I get the dove outside, I set it down, but now if you're okay, then we're okay. So just let me know if you're going to be okay. The dove takes off, flies up to the highest tree in the corner of their backyard area. The whole time it's flying up there going, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And everybody heard it. Their adult children live with them. They all came running out. Everybody was saying, they go, who's saying they're okay? I said, it's the dove. They've just got out of the sun porch. This kind of stuff happens. And so, I mean, that dove story is the only bird story I have. So
Yeah.
this is so powerful what you shared with me. Such an encouragement. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Sheila. And I was going to say this one thing which popped in before we go. When you had your God's atonement moment with the accident you had, so in Numbers 107 comes to quantum, and it also comes to atonement. I think it makes, when I realize that, it makes more sense to me. It's like atonement, it's like, okay, quantum's real. It can actually be deliberately worked and interacted with, and it's like atonement is 107, eternal life is 107, quantum is also 107, and Trump's is 107, and then you drop the 0 and it's 17 and it's Q and it takes you back to the beginning again, you know. So it's like, okay, so atonement is 107 and quantum is 107, and I believe that's how the whole thing works somehow. It's this quantum fractal kaleidoscope, and it's like, it's atonement, and it's like, okay, I got it. I don't understand it all, but I understand the concept, you know. I feel it, and it's like, okay, yeah. So,
well, that's why we got to do those monuments. They dedicated that soldier monument to Lincoln because they knew he was bringing it back, and that was where the Q team started. And then they thought it was Kennedy, and Kennedy tried to bring us back and repent and come to that moment. And we didn't have enough people with him. And that's why we just got the Greenville, I'll send it to you, the Greenville, South Carolina rally. The president announced we're finally at 82+%. Once we're at 82, now we're not going to have a civil war. We're going to have some civil unrest probably because people are still not happy with what's going on because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so we still might have some of that, but we're not going to have a civil war. That was the goal.
Wow. 82, that's his best. And Rainbow Rico 45, which is spade, and that's the highest suit in the cards, the trump card effectively. And then, you said Lincoln 79 comes to mother, comes to nature, and it comes to super, and it comes to wonder, but it also comes to the dove, or the best. Lincoln.
Wow.
70. Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks a lot,
It
Sheila.
all ties together. Thank you so much.
It all comes together. Yeah, it all comes together. Yeah.
Wow. This has been awesome, Tom. Thank you again. I look forward to the next time.
Yes, me too. Thank you, Sheila. God bless. Enjoy the 8th. Enjoy the 8th.
I will. I will. We'll be in touch.
We will. God bless you. Thank you.
Bless you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.